I'm Nicholas Ballasy here in Washington at the Faith and Freedom Coalition Conference with the legendary Pat Boone.
That's what I say.
Thank you so much for taking.
I introduce myself. I am the legendary Pat Boone. I hope you're amazed.
There you go. It's a good introduction. Thanks for taking some time to speak with me.
Actually, the legendary generally means old. You don't usually get that designation until you've been around, and really you're just barely hanging in there. And I don't think I am, so I don't actually admit to being a legend.
Okay, well, we'll just say
I'm a rumor.
The entertainer, Pat Boone.
Entertainer is good, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So first, I wanted to ask you about what brought you to the conference. You're going to be performing. What made you decide to come to D.C., back to D.C., and participate in the Faith and Freedom Coalition Conference?
Well, thankfully I was asked, but more than that, I've been so involved as an entertainer, and not known as a real activist, but I have been a conservative activist, sort of in a genteel way, but very out front in La La Land, or the entertainment industry and community, and for that reason, I'm not on everybody's invitee list to major entertainment functions anymore, because there is an antipathy on the liberal side of things in the business, and many of these people are my friends, but toward my political views, I am conservative. I am a constitutionalist. I like to ask truth questions and hope to get truth answers of politicians, elected folks, and as a result, in 2010, a real outcropping of my activism, I and a neighbor up the street organized the first Beverly Hills Tea Party. And in front of the Beverly Hills sign on Santa Monica Boulevard, we had about 500 people show up on a Sunday afternoon, and they were Democrat, Republican, liberals, conservatives, rabbis, ministers, Cubans, Hispanics, no problem. I mean, we had singing, we had people expressing their views, and then in 2012 we did it again. So I have been a Tea Party organizer in Beverly Hills, and I still haven't been tarred, feathered, and ridden out of town on the rails. So here, when the Faith and Freedom Coalition is operating here in Washington, and they have the convention, and they asked me to come, and would you sing for us on the last night? I said, well, sing what? I mean, one of my record songs, it hardly seems to fit the image. I said, do you have a song, a Faith and Freedom song? They said, no. Would you like one? I can write you an anthem, which they quickly agreed to. Ralph Reed and the whole coalition said, if you can write us an anthem, we'd like to have a song, our song. And I'm introducing it tonight at the Faith and Freedom Coalition Convention, sitting at the head table with the Vice President and Ralph Reed and others. And they'll hear for the first time their new anthem that I've written and recorded, and we've done a video, and I'm going to consider it one of the high points of my life.
Yeah, because you'll be sitting next to the Vice President.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let me ask you about events that you've been invited to. You mentioned that in the past it's lowered. Coming out as a conservative has lowered that amount of invites.
Oh, yeah.
Could you describe that a little bit, what it's been like for you as a conservative in Hollywood?
It's been a great relief because most of the things I had to make excuses for not coming. I mean, I didn't want to go to a lot of the events that were taking place. And I've long since lost interest in just the standard movie premiere. I can watch it on Netflix or when it comes around, or I can go to they all begin to, after a while, seem to be very much alike. And people show up, and they show up not to see the film, but to be seen themselves. And I just say, I don't need that anymore. And if it's parties and if it's functions where a lot of liberal views are going to be expressed, well, I've heard them, and I don't need to hear any more. And so if it's really sort of a liberal event, I just make my excuses, even if I'm invited, which in most cases I'm not. But there are some conservative events that I do make it my business to go to. And you remember FOA, Gary Sinise and others founded the Friends of Abe, a quiet conservative group amongst entertainers in the entertainment industry. It started out with 30 or 40 people when I first became involved, and now it's over 2,000 people, directors, producers, musicians, actors, writers, people that would surprise you. And of course, for that reason, we don't usually mention them. But when we have our meetings, we've had several at the home of David Murdoch out in Sherwood, with as many as 2,000 people in an evening, and they're all conservatives, and they can talk freely about what they believe about what's happening in the government and so on, without fear of losing their jobs by Monday, you know, because that is a possibility, a likelihood actually, in the entertainment industry. People, makeup people, have said, you know, I don't dare talk to people I'm working on in the makeup chair if I'm a conservative, because I may lose my job. So I just keep my political views to myself. It's too bad. So
it's like an underground conservative group in Hollywood.
Well, you can say it's underground because nobody publicizes it, but it's sure not hidden or unknown. It's well known that if you're a conservative, you better keep your opinions to yourself.
Did you notice a change in the amount of roles you were offered, for example, in movies, when people started becoming aware of your more conservative views politically?
The first time that I realized that it was costing me was a long time ago, and Robert Wise was doing a film called Sand Pebbles, and I was very at that moment hot as a singer, actor, and would have been perfect to play the young lieutenant that eventually went to Steve McQueen in Sand Pebbles. And when my agent said, well, Pat Boone is an actor, he's had several big box office films, and he's perfect age and looks and every wise, but Robert Wise said, no, I don't want him, he's too liberal. What's that got to do with the movie? It didn't have anything to do with the movie. And so I realized that there were people in the business that were well known and respected, but were not getting work anymore because of their conservative views. And of course, Ronald Reagan was absolutely written out of the entertainment business, though he'd been very successful, until he ran for governor. And then he was a laughing stock. I mean, this actor, running against Pat Brown, it's not going to happen. And many of his entertainer friends just would not even come out to support him. There were 3 of us who came out originally because I knew him well. It was me, Piper Laurie, Wendell Corey, the Western actor, and Victor Jory. It was Jory, Laurie, Corey, and Boone. It sounded like a bad law firm. And we all came out for Ronald Reagan. And as the election campaign went along, you know, he grew and grew until he was elected. When he was up for re-election and became a very popular governor, all of the entertainers, Sinatra and Dean Martin and everybody, oh, we were always for our buddy. Even John Wayne had not come out for Reagan in his first campaign, and yet he won. And then he went about to do everything he said he would do and became a very popular governor. Not to everybody, not in the entertainment community, though he was one of us. But anyway, that's the way it's been, and I've just grown to adjust to it. It's okay with me.
So you don't regret at all being outspoken about those views?
No, I am always going to just say what I believe, not in a way that makes me seem that I'm condemning you for not agreeing with me, but I just like the free exchange of views. I'm willing to talk about it openly with anybody, even those who disagree totally with me, as long as we can keep it civil.